Good afternoon, boys and girls, friends and lovers, children of all ages. Welcome to the Colorado State Capitol. We're on the corner of 14th and Lincoln here, under the shade of a giant tree. The horns are honking, the flags are flying. People are out today with water and signs, as is the norm at the Colorado State Capitol, as part of a national conversation, a global conversation, to those things which are the word of the day. I'm going to see if I can find some people to chat with. Si se habla inglés, porque mi español no es muy bueno. And we'll see how it goes. ¿Se habla inglés? Poquito. Y yo mismo con mi español, ¿eh? Pero me llamo Brian con Cut the Plastic on YouTube. Y vaya a mi trabajo ese día y mira todos. Y pienso necesita hablar con personas que corren. Si en inglés, español no importa, porque hay personas en todo el mundo mira como tengo. ¿Que yo tengo? Sí. Por favor, diga todos. ¿Por qué aquí? Más.
Estamos aquí porque de la represión que llevamos, no tenemos libertad en nuestro país, no tenemos medicina, la educación es malísima, es un adoctrinamiento que si dice algo que no le guste a ellos, te caen a palo, te disparan, te matan, te secuestran, te desaparecen.
¿Qué ocurre? Yo pienso de Cuba, mi pienso es fuerte personas, ¿sí? Se sabe todos que necesita por comidas en la casa. Yo tengo en mi casa cuántas por comida, ¿sí? ¿Qué ocurre?
¿Qué pasa? Que nosotros hace 2 años cogimos 2 containers de comida y lo mandamos para Cuba por iglesias de comida y detergente, jabón, cosas útiles, y allá el gobierno no quiso dárselo al pueblo. No se lo dio al pueblo. Ellos no permiten.
¿Quién Estados Unidos, Russia, México, ¿quién? Cuba, yes, no, yo estoy en Cuba, pero the comida en Ajena, ¿sí? Reciben en el shipping container, ¿sí?
Nosotros entre cubanos en Miami reunimos 2 contenedores.
Oh, las familias.
Y a las familias de aquí, el exilio cubano, libertad, consiguieron 2 containers de comida y los enviaron por iglesias, la enviaron a Cuba para el pueblo, y ellos no quisieron dársela al pueblo porque ellos decían que no aceptaban nada del exilio cubano. Ellos son los primeros represores y no le importa el pueblo.
Gracias. I'm a journalist here and have a YouTube channel, and I was just traveling by and I saw the protest today. So I wanted to stop and talk to some people that are here, ask about the situation, what it means to you, why you're out here today. Do you have a friend who speaks English, maybe? You don't? Okay, thank you. ¿Ustedes hablan inglés? ¿No? ¿Sabe quién aquí se habla? Gracias.
Armed people and unarmed people. So basically right now, the army from Cuba with guns, they're just killing no matter what, just for the fact to think people. There is no way to permit that. So we as a Cuban have to protest. We need to raise our voice and we want to get here.
What is your story?
My story is I met my wife in Cuba 5 years ago. I came here, I used to live in Spain, and she was the one who forced me to come here. But unfortunately, the media in this country is so bad, and it's so distortionate, because I'm a very intelligent person, I'm a computer engineer, and I was afraid to come here, because the media made me think before I come here, that was a bad country. This is not true. This is not true. So, I'm so proud to be here, and God bless America, God bless Cubans, and we just want people help. We just want the world help us. We don't want people give us their back because it's been enough. It's been enough.
How long were you in Cuba?
I worked for 26 years.
And what are the biggest takeaways from your time in Cuba? Your experience. What were the biggest things that you learned about communism, about the dictatorship, about?
I'm gonna simplify to you in only one phrase. Communists only produce misery. That's all what I can say about it.
So succinct.
Yeah, communists only produce misery. There is nothing else. Like, however you look like, actually today I received some message from my family. I haven't heard from them since July 11th, because we had like some kind of family chat. And I've been sending them all the info about what's going on in Cuba. And none of them replied to me until today, when they sent me some pictures of one of my cousins being a part of the paramilitary group who hit the people in Cuba. So I feel so sad. That's why I feel myself like I have to be here. And I'm tired to be crying, I'm tired to be here, I'm tired to be my family's slave. Because this is what Castro family did to all of us Cubans. They made us be a slave of our family. We're tired of that. We can't handle no more. We need the world help us. And unfortunately, Castro was a devil person.
How's this sound, folks?
Hello to
One's for good, two for watery.
Our family. Because if we didn't have that number 62 and 65 number of the law, of the American law, that avoid us to go there and help our family, we couldn't go. We couldn't help them. But there is no way. So all that we got now is our voices, flags, making noises, and send the message to the American people. Please help us. Please help us. We're not talking about in a week or in a month or in a couple of years. We need help now.
What kind of help would you like?
We need an intervention humanitarian. We need it. We need a military intervention. Because people are unarmed. People, even if we send them anything, there are more proof. There are so many evidence that we'll be sending so many help to the people, but the government handling everything. There is no way to send people help if the government gonna handle it on the way. So we need humanitarian intervention in Cuba now.
And finally, I'm wondering, in Cuba, as far as the people, how big of a force is the movement for freedom compared to those who are wanting to be quiet or trying to go on? How much momentum is that?
There is a biggest problem in Cuba. The communists, they organize themselves in a different kind of type of group that plays due affiliation on the society in Cuba. So they make one for the workers, they make one for the students, they make one for the young people. So all of them are communists. So right now, what they force it to the people, they trying to make some kind of commitment with the people like, if you don't go and protest against the people who want freedom, you won't go anymore to the school. If you don't go and protest against people who want freedom, you will lose your job. So that's the way they're doing it right now. So we really need help because I think right now the 100% of the Cubans in Cuba, they want freedom. They want to have a way to survive, a way to be success in the life without any over control. Because the government controls every single thing in Cuba. And there is no way to survive like that.
Anything you want to add?
I don't know. I mean, like, I just want help. I just want help from the American people. I want the American people to convince the actual administration to help us, Cuba. We need help in Cuba now. That's all what I can say.
What do you make about how Biden's administration has handled this so far?
I think Mr. Biden, it's a time for you to wake up. It's a time for you to listen, your voters. It's a time for you to listen, the American people. Everyone knows, it's a fact. Cuba needs help. Cuba wants freedom. We don't want you to raise embargo. The embargo is not a problem. If you raise it, all what you're gonna do is just make the Castro family billionaire because they're already millionaires.
Great. Luis, thank you very much.
You're welcome,
God
sir.
bless you. Glad to be here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
What's your channel?
I'm down to do it.
710 KNUS Radio.
Oh, nice. I think I've seen you before.
I recognize you.
What's
What's your name?
Brian Loma.
Brian. Nice to see you.
Oye, y la verdad, el embargo no va a hacer nada.
El embargo no va a hacer nada, el embargo lo que va a hacer
Hey,
es
if you want another interview, I'm down to do an interview.
I have been committed by this other young lady over here, but tell us real quick. Yeah, I'm right here. You're here, so let's talk about it. What's going on? Why are you here today?
So I'm here to protest everything that is happening, not just in Cuba, but all over the world. Communism and socialism is really on the rise, and it's trying to promote this ideology of equality. Now, equality is something that is developed through hard work, and some people unfortunately don't produce the same in societies. So one of the things that's happening in Cuba is that they're separating the society for people who can and cannot. And the reality is that everybody in that country is pretty much a slave to the country itself. You're required at the age of 16 to join military service so that you can start working in fields and provide food for your country. You're required once you get out of that to then work for the actual state and provide your own time and freedom for $200 of, not even dollars, 200 of CUC, which is the Cuban money, and that translates to roughly 50, 60 bucks. Nobody in Cuba could survive off of that. The rations are limited to for a family of 5, 6 people, really food that would only be enough for one person. Every day after 6 o'clock, they cut the electricity, they cut the water, including internet, of course, if there's no electricity. The people haven't just been going through this for the short term. It has been happening for over 60 years. And what the embargo has done has limited the power that the Castros can get, because at the end of the day, you give money to the Castros and the Cuban regime. At the end of the day, you're giving money to all of the governments around the world that are trying to gain power. You're giving money to Russia, you're giving money to China, you're giving money to North Korea, you're giving money to all the guerrillas in the Congo and in Africa. At the end of the day, giving or lifting the embargo doesn't do absolutely anything. The coronavirus and the embargo are the straws that broke the camel's back. And people need the ability to produce anything for themselves, not just for the country. And what the people really just want is what the basic freedoms, the Bill of Rights, be able to speak up on what they want, be able to assemble with what they need and ask for what they need without the government attacking them. We're seeing this all over the world, not just in Cuba, Hong Kong, Ukraine. And the United States has been roughly idle in these types of situations. And we really need the United States to be a promoter in the idea of freedom and the idea of being able to pursue what you want as a human being, not be limited by what the government or your country wants for you, but what you truly want for yourself.
Okay. What do you think is the next step in this process? People are hungry. Are we talking about sending boats laden with food? What would happen if they were received?
So step one would be to make a de facto type of secondary government or some sort of UN assistance that would monitor what exactly is being provided, if there was going to be any sort of financial or any sort of help towards Cuba. Because at the end of the day, like I said, you give it to the government keeps the money. You give them money to develop the country, they provide it and make it to improve their tourist infrastructure. You give them food, they use it to sell it back to the people to promote their own money. You give gasoline, you give them concrete, they use it for themselves. So at the end of the day, if there is going to be some sort of foreign assistance towards Cuba, it has to be done from some sort of third party. It cannot be done directly through the government.
So you want the UN to step in directly?
If the United States wouldn't step in and
Is it appropriate for the United States to step in? Is that an act of war?
Well, we've already gone into multiple countries that have been supposedly backed up by Iran, by North Korea, and by Russia, and by us not standing up for the people that do also need their help just because they're not in an area or a remote area of the world that has a lot more resources is completely unfair. Look at what's happened in Venezuela. We intervened somewhat. There's resources there. We intervened in we've had multiple wars in Iraq and Iran because of really resources. So at the end of the day, it's not the resources of the world isn't what the earth is providing for us, but also the resources that we as humans can provide for the world. We can't just be thinking of a financial outcome. We have to be looking at the outcome of the betterment of actual humans.
Okay, so there's some people out there that are going to say, here in the city of Denver, in Colorado, we can't take care of our own people. Why do we need to, why should the U.S., who's drowning in homelessness, who's still has rising spike coronavirus rates, right? Where's some of the other kind of combined effort? Is there not another? Are there not other countries that should also be participating?
Right. No. I'm definitely on that side.
So I'm asking that. I'm just asking because I like that. People like about my channel is that I'll try to get an open point.
No, it's okay. I personally think that this is not just a United States problem, of course. I'm an avid believer of legal immigration and control on immigration. And one of the most important things about this whole situation is that just like it happened in 1994, the Cuban government got put under pressure because of the fact that there was no food, there was no prosperity for the people, and the country itself started to revolt. So the government then, at that point, pushed those people, the anti-revolutionary people, out of the country and pushed it upon the American people as a responsibility for that. All of the people that were leaving Cuba as refugees during that period of time were just looking for prosperity and freedom. But the reality is, if the United States intervenes and helps the Cuban people, at the end of the day, there won't be any sort of illegal immigration. The American, the Cuban people themselves are proud to be American, are proud to be here, and so the Cuban people that are over there are proud to be Cuban and want to be.
So then the question is, is Cuba due for a civil war?
Sorry?
So is Cuba due to be taken over by the people like Castro did?
So,
as someone might say, again, I just read my chat. The question is, what's up with self-realization? The Cuban people rising up to take over their government for themselves.
So the main difference between the uprising in Cuba, between any sort of uprising anywhere else in the world, is that Cuba, since the first thing that the Castro regime did when they got into power, is that they made two things one of the most important things for them. So number one is that the religion and the life in Cuba, there is no other religion but communism and socialism to promote the revolutionary ideology. And number two, they took away the ability for people to be able to fight for themselves. So at the end of the day, sorry, I'm losing a little bit of my train of thought because there's so much stuff. At the end of the day, the Cuban people do not have the ability to fight back with arms, which is one of the biggest problems that's happening here in the U.S. That they're trying to take out our ability to be able to fight our government if the government were to ever go against our civil rights, not just our American rights, but our rights as human beings.
So, I guess what's next for Cuba then? Like, is this protest in the streets going to be a military standoff? Are people going to lose their lives for this country? You know, for the United States to get involved or other places? Do you think it'll happen before then?
So what I personally think that it is happening and it's currently happening is that Cuba is trying to find any sort of way to hold on to the little bit of power that they have left. And what the Cuban people in general, not just here in the United States, but all over the world, what we're trying to get is some sort of intervention to help our people. But at the end of the day, not all of us, not everyone. The reality is that not everybody is just about words. There are some people that are crazy enough to go over there, and the reality is the United States has a law that prevents Cuban people from doing that. But I can tell you, just as a Cuban that kind of feels the same way, I would take and serve that prison time or that federal offense with honor and happiness for my country and for the people that are dying, that are not. I'm a Cuban-born person, but I am an American, and I cannot just allow the things, the happiness that I was provided at a young age to be taken away from the people, not from all the people.
All right, man. I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. You too, man.
Hey, what was your name again?
Alex.
Alex what? Sorry, folks, we lost connection for a moment. You're great. Okay, so your sign says end communism, free Cuba.
Yes.
The average American citizen has probably heard a lot about communism and socialism over the last year or two, especially in circles of Black Lives Matter, of Floyd incident and the murder, I should say, of George Floyd, and the year of protests that have come with that. As it's been kind of quiet this year, and we're looking at international issues that are also close to home. And communism, free Cuba. What does that mean to you?
Well, it means to me that it's the Marxist collectivist regime, brutal totalitarian dictatorship that has been shedding the blood of my loved one, my family, and my country for the past 62 years. I am glad that you mentioned about looking about similar situations internationally, because that's exactly what is happening in Cuba. It has happened for the past 62 years, and it's happening now since Sunday. Black Cubans' life also matter. Now, over 90% of the population in Cuba is either black, mixed, or mulatto, and they are the ones that are now being beat up. They are literally bleeding in the streets of the island, and they're being shot in the back by the police because they're daring to take the streets to ask for freedom. And I find extremely hypocritical that we have organizations with such a big power to mobilize social justice movements, and all of a sudden our families, our friends, our young kids, the people that we left behind are being massacred in a genocide order by the Cuban government, and all that we hear is crickets. All that we hear is crickets. So as someone who was born and raised in Cuba, I left Cuba in 2001. My question is, do all that life really matter, or are some more equal than others? Why are we not hearing a clamoring from the social justice movement, from the human rights defenders in this country about what's going on in Cuba? I mean, I understand that with the censorship and the propaganda and the media control from the dictatorship in the past 60 years, the rest of the world have received very distorted reality of what really happens in Cuba. But after Sunday, having even censored internet and social media, with many of us outside Cuba translating the videos, the messages, the text into so many languages, that's our goal today, to let our fellow Americans know what's really happening.
I want to hear the specifics, because I want you to imagine that I'm a human being that works 80 hours a week and doesn't peruse social media, but maybe I'm watching this on a live stream. I hear it across another channel. Somebody connects me to this. What happened on Sunday specifically?
I can give you a good example. On Sunday specifically, like an organic and spontaneous series of the small protests and marches started in Cuba. They started
What cities?
It started in a small town called San Antonio de los Baños. So it was not even like in city areas. It started actually in the smaller towns, in rural areas, where the situation is even more critical for the average Cuban. It started in San Antonio de los Baños, and then it started spreading the word all over the island, to the point that now, tomorrow is going to be a week, and Cubans are still taking the streets to protest. Granted, the situation in the country has been really bad for 62 years. Those are the results of collectivization and centralized economy. It's just an utter failure, where the elites of the government promise the people a lot of things, and at the end they don't do anything. Everybody lives like a destitute in utter poverty, and those in the high elites of the army, the government, and the Communist Party are the only ones that have the good life that they promise. So all this started on Sunday, and it has been rolling into the week. And I can give you a quick example. The only fatality right now publicly recognized by the Cuban government was a black rapper that was younger than 32. He was shot in the back in the middle of the streets in Cuba by a police officer. His mother couldn't take it. He was his only son, and his mother committed suicide yesterday. It came out in the news that she took a bunch of pills and she killed herself because she couldn't bear the pain of her only son being shot in the back in the streets of Cuba.
Tell us his name again.
Diuvis.
Diuvis?
Diuvis. And everybody that can see these live videos, and if you want to go online or social media, you look for the hashtags that reach SOS Cuba or Patria y Vida, and you are going to find all the information with little short videos and everything that we have been able to get out of the island. You're going to find that information too, because as of yesterday in late evening, it was already being picked up by media in English. And that is just one example.
So have there been, how many people are you saying that you are aware of have died over this incident since Sunday? What kind of incidences? Are there group situations in villages where the police or the military have come out and assaulted? Have they killed people? Tell us more details.
The entire country has been militarized now. So we have the army, we have the special forces, which are the ones that have the full anti-riot gear, which is very ironic because they're saying that it's the fault of the United States that the country is in crumble, but they seem to have a lot of money to have top of the line, armed to the teeth, special forces to repress people that want to pay for freedom. So at this point, as we speak here right now, The Cuban streets are fully militarized. They have taken the young kids that are on the mandatory military draft. We're talking about young men that are between 17 and 20 that were supposed to be like on call on the reserve. They are being dragged out of their houses. They're being given baseball bats, and they're being taken to towns that are not their own, so they can go on the streets on the best fashion of the brown shirts and beat up the protesters. Yesterday, the Cuban government and universities and places of employment, they started making their employees sign a statement saying that they would side up with the revolution, and if they didn't show up to the protest organized by the government today, they were going to be fired or they would be in jail. So that's the situation of the streets and all the towns in Cuba today.
Where does this go from here?
Hopefully to a better place. And you know why? Because we got nothing to lose.
Do you think that this is going to be like a war zone and the people are going to respond? The baseball bats, the baseball bats?
People cannot respond as a war zone because we don't have Second Amendment rights. I mean, my fellow Americans, get with the program. The first thing that Castro did when he took over was to abolish the right to bear arms and to confiscate firearms from the population. They have nothing. They are outside in the streets with stones and sticks and their voices. That's all they have. But going back to your question, the only place that we can go from here is a better place. And you know why? Because it's rock bottom. Nothing can get worse in Cuba after 62 years of communist dictatorship anymore. So whatever comes from here, it might not be pretty at first. It might take us many years to rebuild that country, but I have hope and I know that we're gonna be able to get the country that we're gonna have free elections and that Cuba will go back to be a free and democratic society.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that guy runs a Republican talk show. He's eating this up today.
Ya lo sabemos, pero por otro lado también está el riesgo.
This is definitely a Republican, Cubans, anti-communism rally. Hi, how you doing today? Doing all right. My name's Brian. I'm with Cut the Plastic, Denver. 1 second. Go ahead. It's been a little spotty today.
Oh, good.
You're on.
But Cuba's been under a dictatorship for 62 years. It's really the reality that a lot of people were born in. It's gotten really bad. The economy has gotten bad. There's no freedom they don't get to vote. They haven't been able to vote in years. And it's just gotten to the point where they can't feed themselves anymore. The country gives them rations. They're not able to farm their own food because everything belongs to the dictatorship. Everything belongs to communism. And it's not enough to feed them anymore because the economy has collapsed.
So this is an interesting statement, and I've been trying to figure out what people have been saying. So let's break that down. I live here in Denver.
Yeah.
I have some garden boxes. We have cucumbers and squash and tomatoes and pots. And you're saying that if I live in Cuba, that's a crime?
Yeah, you cannot grow your own crops. You can't have a farm and sell it to the people. So if you have a farm, there's no private ownership. There's no private businesses. So if I want to set up shop and sell to my village or anything, that is the property of the government. That land is not your land. So that, yes, like pretty much like you can. There are people who, if they collect too many fruits from the neighborhood, they can get a fine of up to $500, which is a lot considering they only make about 18 American dollars a month. So it pretty much puts them in debt, and it's a big risk, and you pretty much just have to kind of collect the food that's given to you, and a lot, it's not a lot, it's a pound of rice a month. It's not a lot of food here, you know, it's like half a pound of beans, very little bit of meat, some fruits, but the rations for a month for a Cuban that is collecting from the government, because that's their only means unless they want to go to the store and pay with a very small salary. It's hard.
How do you propose that we're gonna move or see Cuba move?
I do not speak for the movement. I personally believe that the people need to make their own democracy, that they need to be motivated, that they need to be empowered, and they are, and that's thanks to the internet. Thanks to the internet, they're kind of waking up, like, and they're learning that like you can be sustainable, you can have other options, and I think it's just, you know, like supporting them, doing what we can, and going from there. Because if we give them aid, Cuba's government usually denies public aid. They want to feel strong, like most dictatorships want to look. They want to look strong. So a lot of the humanitarian aid is kept in warehouses and not distributed to the people. A lot of the food is only kept to the government officials, and
Say that highlight. So you think it's going to be up to the Cuban people to figure this out? We as a United States, the United Nations.
I think we could help. I think we could pressure. You know, I think we could put pressure. You know, I think we can do everything we can to help, and then we have to decide what that is as like a community and as a democracy.
So in previous years, the answer would be send them a boatload of guns and let them take control of their own government if they want to.
Yeah.
This is 2021 post-COVID. Do you think that's a viable answer in our world today, or is that like somebody else's responsibility to do?
It's really the option of like, do pacifist revolutions still happen? You know,
That's a question.
I would.
Wow.
That is my hope. Like,
Wow.
if you gotta fight to fucking eat, you gotta do what you have to do because you're starving. You're gonna die either way, and it's a shitty situation.
No, it's good. I like it.
Situation.
Raw.
I'm not a politician.
Raw. You're raw.
I have no goddamn idea what to do, but they're sick of it, and I think just amplifying our voices and like letting it be known, because so many people don't know.
That's why we're here today.
That's why we're here. Yeah.
All right. Well, I extended my visit more than I extended.
Cool. I got it.
I'm on my way to go do this somewhere else anyway.
Yeah.
But I had to stop and get the
I got you.
get the footage. So we appreciate
I
you
get all
here.
perspectives. Is my
Yeah. Have a great day. Sorry about the break in the feed, folks. There was a disconnection. We got live streamers with Kenny Wheeler right now in the background there. Amazing, awesome in the city. You see there's people under the trees. There. And I gotta go to do my thing. This guy with the American flag, if you see him in the future, he is with the Republican radio channel. He 90 something. So just gotta call that one out as it is. And we're gonna end the feed and talk to you all another day. Somebody just got hitched. I haven't seen that forever. Cans running down the street. So we're here and I'm out because I got other things to do. We'll catch you all later and thanks.